All right, everyone, just a quick recap of day 4 of the 2026 World Cup. We had 4 games today. We're now at the phase where we have 4 games daily, and it's going to be this way for a little while. The first game today was Germany versus Curaçao. Germany won 7-1. I'm, as a Brazilian, that score, unfortunately, rings a few flashbacks for me, and not pleasant ones. But Germany did the job, bottom line. It was an expected result. Germany did the job, and let's be honest, Germany are going to progress through this group. It's only a matter of the team that they face in the next round and possible matchups, and see how much further they can advance. Curaçao, let's be honest, they're just happy to be at this World Cup. It's their very first World Cup. It's the nation, the least populated nation to ever make it to the World Cup. I believe they have 150,000 people total in Curaçao. I'm sure they're just very happy to be here. They scored their first ever goal in a World Cup. I'm sure they'll be happy about that as well. At one point, they were actually tied 1-1 with Germany. But unfortunately, at the end of the first half, Germany made it 2-1 and 3-1. And at that point, it was only a matter of how many Germany would score. And they scored 7. And we had some good performances today from Germany's point of view. Wirtz, Musiala linked very well together. They played very well in the second half. And some promising signs for Germany going forward. There's still some concerns, of course. You know, you have Kimmich playing at right back when he's a natural midfielder. So against stronger team, this might be a problem against possible teams they face in the knockout stages. But against Curaçao, it works. It remains to be seen, against Ivory Coast and Ecuador, how that works. But honestly, we all know in this particular group, Germany will be just fine with the way that groups in World Cups are now structured. 8 of the third best placed teams also qualify. So I don't think there's much chance of that Germany will go a third consecutive World Cup, not advancing from the group stage. That's not going to happen, I feel like, this time. So good performance from Germany. Could build some confidence heading into the next couple games. Next up today, we had Netherlands against Japan, and this was easily the best game of the day. It was a very entertaining game. Not in the first 40 minutes of the game, I would say. Okay, the first 40 minutes of the game was quite slow. I think both teams were feeling each other out at that point. First half or so, but the second half, wow, that second half of football was something else. The Netherlands took the lead twice, and Japan came back twice. I think the Netherlands, after they scored that second goal by Somerville, Ronald Koeman really made some substitutions, took off Gakpo, took off their offensive players, and decided to kind of sit up shop, and try to ride out the rest of the game and try to hold on for a 2-1 lead. I think he did that a little too early in the game because there was still over 25 minutes left in the game. And Netherlands, at that point, when they made it 2-1, they were playing very well and much better than Japan. So why make that decision at that point? With that said, though, I've got to give a lot of credit for Japan. I think they're one of the possible underdog teams going forward into this World Cup. I think that they will make the knockout stages, I believe. We'll see how that goes. We're going to talk about Sweden later in this video, but I think they have a good chance to make the next round. And I don't think they're going to be an easy team to play. No matter which team they face, I don't think it's going to be an easy game, whoever faces Japan. So, but yeah, they were very good in the attacking. They played quite some good attacking football, but they were not always effective, I felt, Japan, at the final third. Even though it feels weird to say that, even though Japan scored 2 goals. But I think that there's some quite promising signs here for Japan, and I think they'll be well going forward. Next game today was Ivory Coast against Ecuador. Ecuador. I want to talk about Ecuador first. They're a very good defensive team. They had, I believe, the best defensive record in all of CONMEBOL World Cup qualifying. The problem for Ecuador, though, is scoring goals. and that was very much prevalent today. They hit the post twice, by the way, in the first half. But yeah, and then goal scoring is very much a problem. They rely on Ener Valencia, who's now very old. He's not as prolific as he used to be. So scoring goals is very much a problem for Ecuador, even if defensively they're very sound. For Ivory Coast, it seems to be the opposite, actually. Defensively, sometimes they're quite vulnerable, but on the attacking half of the field, they've got some real talent there. And, Diallo, the Man United player, was the difference maker and scored a second half stoppage time goal to take them to the win. And I think there are quite promising signs there for Ivory Coast. Remember, they also beat France in the last friendly away right before the World Cup. So there's some promising signs here for Ivory Coast. They do face Germany next. So we'll have a better indicator how good or not good they really are after they face Germany. But I think, obviously, with the way the groups are structured, like I mentioned before, with third place teams also qualifying, I think they have an absolutely excellent opportunity now to make the next stage, because they still have to face Curaçao, by the way, Ivory Coast. So they already have 3 points in the bag, and they still have to face Curaçao. So in all likelihood, Ivory Coast is going to have 6 points. So with 6 points, I mean, they are going to qualify. No ifs or buts about it. They're going to qualify to the next stage. It's just a matter of whether they finish first or second. A likelihood to Germany. Well, Germany, I believe, will be favorites to finish first. But we'll see how they perform the next game. And the last game of the day was Sweden against Tunisia. This game surprised me a little bit, not totally surprised. Tunisia, they're very, usually, at least lately, they've been a very defensively compact team. But that didn't show today against Sweden. They conceded 5, and they could have conceded a few more. Sweden, they seem to be a team on the up. You know, you could argue Sweden were quite lucky to even qualify to this World Cup to begin with. You know, they finished bottom of their group in World Cup qualifying with 2 draws and 4 defeats, and they had to go through the playoff route to even qualify for the World Cup. But they're on the ascendancy now with new coach Graham Potter. They're playing quite well, and they have a quite prolific forward line with Gyökeres and Alexander Isak. So their attacking line is probably one of the better ones in Europe. So we'll see how they progress going forward, but they look quite promising. Obviously, they're in the same group as Netherlands, Japan, which initially, before a ball was kicked, I thought that Netherlands, Japan was going to be the best 2 teams in the group, with Sweden possibly going third. But with today's game, you know, I believe Sweden, they play Netherlands next. That game should be interesting. So quite lots of promising signs there for Sweden. Tunisia, not a good start, obviously. You know, Tunisia, as I mentioned earlier, they're a very defensively compact team. It's been the case lately. They actually faced my national team, Brazil, in a friendly not too long ago, and they managed to hold Brazil to a 1-1 draw. They're traditionally very compact team. Maybe that 1-1 draw says more about Brazil than it does about Tunisia. Don't know. But this was unusual. It was still unusual for Tunisia to concede 5 today. So we'll see how they will react in the next game. I believe they play Japan next. So we'll see how they react. Japan will be looking for a win as well. So the next round of games should be quite interesting.